Welcome to the last day of our saddest 2023. My name is Shah. I'm going to be your MC for today. So please be informed that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have our show start from 5 minutes from now. All right. The show first will be start from Deloitte team soon. So please make yourself available and be ready at our station. Thank you very much. I was also informed by the Deloitte team there will be a demonstration by the team. So please make yourself available to come because this is a very brilliant presentation will come from Deloitte team as the presenter for today. Thank you very much. So please, those who just came in, please make yourself available to seat. Take your seat because our show is about to start. Thank you. Three minutes comes from now. Please make yourself available to check your seat. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, dear amazing people, since today will be the last day of our Cydash 2023, we're going to have 2 presentations slot in the morning and another 2 will be after lunch break. Alright, so for the morning session, I would like to inform that the presentation will come from the Deloitte team and followed by Signing Cloud. All right, so for the starter of the day, the title of the presentation will be the Zero Trust and Development Security Operations. Representing Deloitte team today, we have Mr. Rohit here as a subject matter expert and going to share and present the ideas to us. Please welcome Mr. Rohit.
All right. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Okay. My name is Rohit. I'm from Deloitte. I primarily work in the security architecture and engineering team. So today I'm going to be talking about DevSecOps and Zero Trust. All right. So DevSecOps is a common buzzword nowadays, right? But the main thing that we want to do today is simplify this idea, show you that DevSecOps is not really something that is complex. It is quite simple, right? So firstly, let's get started. DevSecOps is all about application security, right? Now, before we get into the presentation, just to understand, let's make application security simple. We'll break it down into 3 major phases. That is design phase, where you tell what the application should look like. The implementation phase, where your developers translate that into code. And then the operation phase, where it is deployed and running for your customers to use those apps. The problem is, you can have vulnerabilities starting from design phase, implementation phase, and operation phase. Basically, what it means to say is that you can have vulnerabilities everywhere throughout your life cycle. Now, talking about DevSecOps, right? The common assumption is that I bring in a SaaS solution, I bring in a Dash solution, plug it in, and I'm DevSecOps ready. Now, that's wrong. Let's see that with an example, right? Now, let's take a scenario, something that has really happened to one of our clients. Your perimeter facing applications, right? Something that is used by all your customers on a day-to-day basis, have a library inside them. Now this particular library, there is a 0-day released for this particular library and it has been widely exploited in the market. There is no patches available. There are no detection signatures available. How would you protect your organization in this scenario? Right? So when we pose this question to certain CISOs and other security team members, and most of them didn't have an answer. So anything that you traditionally talk about, right? Your SAST, DAST, SCA, VAPT, web app firewall, threat modeling is not going to help you. But what would actually help you here is a RASP solution. I'll get into the details more. Okay. And then let's take another scenario to understand DevSecOps better. Okay. Now this is also something that has happened to one of our clients. Let's say they have a payment gateway in the particular application. You can go and make your necessary purchases. But suddenly, people were able to manipulate the price to 1 RM and 0 RM and start making these purchases. Right? So how would you defend in this scenario? Again, even your RASP solution will not help here. Whatever SaaS, DAST, firewall you have is not going to defend in this scenario. What would defend in this scenario is good old proper threat modeling being done. Right? So if you had understood how the payment messages flow, where all it is going through, you would have been able to defend against the scenario very early on. Right? Now, let's understand some of the common challenges that are faced by CISOs and other security team members while trying to defend their organization and upscale their application security posture. Firstly, it's limited resources and budgets. Second is complex and evolving threat landscape, 0 days being released every day and team members not knowing how to tackle these. And then third one, lack of cybersecurity professionals. So meaning you have good team members, but the rate at which they learn and defend new technologies as of now. So Our intent it is to help you solve all these challenges, right? So firstly, to clarify better, DevSecOps is not an approach, right? DevSecOps is not a technology, right? It's not something that you plug into your pipeline and tomorrow your app is secure. It's an approach, a methodology that you bring into your application security development lifecycle, right? So what is the main objective of DevSecOps? You have continuous improvement in your security posture. What that means to say is that you implement DevSecOps and tomorrow you're not fully secure, right? You are iteratively securing yourself. Tomorrow you are a person secure than what you were yesterday. And the day after that is a little bit more. So that's what you're going to be doing. Now, how do you know your DevSecOps program is a success? If you have three main things that are happening. That is three key results. Firstly, there is a continuous reduction in the number of vulnerabilities that you're seeing on a day-to-day basis. The time you take to respond and recover from these vulnerabilities are also reducing consistently on a day-to-day basis. You're constantly integrating new security solutions into your pipeline on a regular basis. So if you are doing this, it means to say that your DevSecOps pipeline is actually working, right? And also, good DevSecOps program should be measurable. You need to have proper dashboards to know that you're doing all this rightly, okay? So this is a traditional pipeline, right? We are very familiar with this. We have your code scanning, have the ID, and then there's the SAST, SCA, DAST, IAST, code review, configuration review, VAPT, and goes to the deployment where there's other security monitoring happening, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be this complex. Right now, we're going to show you a demo. In this demo, what you will see is that we are going to try to defend against a zero-day attack, okay, right now. And without making a single line of a change to a single line of code, we're going to be defending against this particular attack, right? Okay. All right. So what you can see over here is on the right side, that application that is intentionally vulnerable to Log4j. All right. And on the left side, there is the attacker's console. Now, the attacker is going to take control of the server on the right side. Right. All he has to do is that he puts in this particular malicious string, and then immediately on the other side, he will start receiving a remote shell where he'll be able to control the other side, this side. Yeah. You can run the command here. Okay. So as you can see, he's received a remote shell on the other side, and he right now has complete control over the server on the right side. Now, what we're going to do against this attack, make this attack not happen at all without making any changes to the application code. Okay. Yeah. All we're going to do right now is enable the RAS protection, and you're going to see the change happen right away. Okay, now we're going to attempt to re-exploit the application. Yeah, as you can see, there's no activity happening on the right side. The attack will no longer work. Okay, so what this intends to tell you is that DevSecOps can be really simple. You don't need highly skilled personnel in your team to take care of the application issues and so on. You just need to bring in the right technologies and position them rightly to take advantage of the whole thing. Right? The second thing is that we'll also show you, like, being a security team member, you may feel this is overwhelming, right? But actually it is not. All you have to do, let's say you're a security team member, right? And somebody has committed some code and it has to go to production. What you will experience is just one single email that you will receive, right? All you have to do is click on the email. The entire pipeline is already done, fully automated. the SCA, SAST, container scanning, configuration review, all the results are there. You want to approve this to go to production, you can do it there. If not, send it back to the developer, make the necessary changes that you want. You're all good. Just just a few clicks, and it's already gone to production, and you're good to go. Right? So the major takeaway is that DevSecOps is a buzzword. Yeah, everybody's talking about it, but it's not necessarily complex. It's actually a very simple thing that you can start doing right away. Right? Thank you. Now we would move on to Zero Trust. Okay. Now, similar to DevSecOps, our objective over here also is to simplify this buzzword called Zero Trust. Show you it's a really simple idea. Firstly, let's understand before we get into that. There are some common trust assumptions that we have in our organizations, right? We inherently trust users from internal network, or we trust them coming from particular segments, like this segment can only be used by my security team, so no worries, it's safe, nothing to worry about. And then you also think that your third parties are inherently secure, like, oh, this vendor, he's got good SOC reports and so on, so he must be really good. I can trust his data blindly. But similar to that, you have about 6 common assumptions that are happening on a day-to-day basis. Now, in Zero Trust, we break all these assumptions, disregarding of whether it is your internal network, external network, vendor, or wherever it is coming from. We're going to assume every single packet that is coming into your network, or every single line of code or data that is coming into your network is assumed compromised, is explicitly verified, and has least privileged access. That's pretty much the idea of Zero Trust. Now, also what Zero Trust is not just about bringing in a lot of different technologies that have the name buzzword Zero Trust in it and bringing it into your environment. You can do Zero Trust with what you already have. And also Zero Trust is about orchestrating these technologies to work together. Only then you're Zero Trust ready. Okay? Now let's start with a use case. Okay? One particular organization came to us and asked us they want to implement secure remote access to their on-premises apps. Basically, the apps are in their internal network, and they want people from the external network to be able to access these apps. Right? And also, they want to control access to their network. Traditionally, how would we get this done? We'd probably refactor the app, push it to the DMZ, and give them access. Or have a VPN via which we give users access to the internal network. But when you try to go to Zero Trust, you don't have to do any of this. So how we can do this in simple terms? Firstly, you just need a centralized IAM engine. In that engine, you configure the necessary policies, right? Who has access to what asset and which level of access. And then when the user is trying to sign in, it checks for all the possible checks it can do, like your multi-factor authentication, impossible travel, and so on. And then the engine also checks the device that the user is trying to sign in from. So you just can't sign in from any device. Now, once these two checks clear, then a third-party threat intelligence is integrated to the solution, which will check for known compromise of these credentials and this particular device. All these checks are, if there is a problem in it, immediately the user is restricted from accessing the internal network. If it is not, he's given access to the internal network, right, via an app proxy. Now, disregarding of it being able to be accessed remotely, nobody will be able to access this URL unless you're coming from this particular user's ID and this particular device, right? Now, this is what Zero Trust is about. Also, the same solution would work along with your Cisco ICE, for example, and allow access to your internal network. So meaning to say, when I come into my internal network, I don't have to authenticate separately. When I try to access my apps remotely, I don't have to authenticate separately. Everything goes to one single platform. Okay? So now, some of the realized benefits you can see. Firstly, minimized attack surfaces. There's no requirement for VPN. There's no requirement for internal network segmentation. A lot of threat vectors have been eradicated already. Second thing is creative reuse of your existing technology. So basically, the client already had Azure AD, and they already had Cisco ICE. We just had to find a way to integrate both together instead of bringing in a whole new solution to implement it for them. It saved a lot in cost. And then thirdly is efficiency. You don't have to hereafter try to worry about managing your VPN credentials, your network credentials, or application credentials. No longer. Just one single source of credentials, just that you manage your zero trust already. Right? Now, working with Deloitte, what advantage you get when you come to zero trust is, firstly, we would have a creative reuse of your existing stack. When we come and check you out and see whether you're good for zero trust or not, we are not going to come and recommend a whole bunch of solutions to you. Firstly, we're going to understand your current tech stack and see how we can creatively reuse them to come up with a zero trust architecture. Secondly is that continuous support post-implementation. So once we implement zero trust, we're just not going to let you go from there. We're going to sit with you, train your team, and make sure they effectively make use of the zero trust solutions. And then thirdly, POC testing will be conducted at Deloitte. What that intends to tell is that you don't have to buy a solution that we tell you and just implement it and have problems with it now. We will implement the solution in our premises by mimicking your infrastructure first. We will test everything out. Once you're satisfied with the results, then we will deploy it to your on-premises infrastructure. Yep. So that's pretty much it for zero trust in DevSecOps. If you have any questions, you can shoot.
All good? Is there any question from the ground? Or anyone wants to share anything? The floor is open now. If anyone wants to share. You want? Okay. We have one here want to share. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. I would like to ask about when you mentioned about the internal doubt that you doubt on your team, perhaps. Is there any signs that we can clarify those ones?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. The internal?
You mean about the zero trust, even internal, maybe your data will be released from internal, your team. How do we tackle that one? Perhaps how do we know if any of our team members have released, or is there any sign in our team so that we can tackle them?
Okay, sure. So there's a couple of ways to get that done. Firstly, when you configure your access policy, right? Zero trust is about having least privilege policy. So there you will clearly be able to know which user, you'll be able to narrow down it to a particular group of users who could have done in the first place. That is the first step. Second thing, in zero trust, you will bring in solutions like CASB and DLP and so on. That will help you detect who exactly released the data or leaked it and so on. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other question or anything wants to share? Okay, I guess maybe that's the end of the session for now. Thank you very much,
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Rohit, for the brilliant presentation. Once again, give a big round of applause to Mr. Rohit.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so we're going to have another presentation by 11:45. Please make yourself comfortable. Now is a coffee break for you to go and visit the booth and come here by 11:45. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.